Hello,
Right.
everyone. Welcome to the Business Spotlight, the podcast where we shine a light on the incredible entrepreneurs and business leaders in our community. I'm your host, Craig Whipperman with Music City Action Coach, and today we're excited to introduce to you someone who is blazing a trail in the painting business right here in Nashville. Our guest today is Rick Smith, owner of Nashville House Painting. We'll dive into Rick's background, explore the challenges he's faced, and the successes he's celebrated. Whether you're a fellow entrepreneur, an aspiring business owner, or simply someone who loves to support local businesses, this conversation is sure to inspire and inform. So without further ado, let's welcome Rick to the podcast. Rick, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm alive.
Hey,
So
man.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
I, I have my very next breath, is not guaranteed.
that's
So
exactly
yeah,
right. Yeah, you got to be thankful. That's one of the keys to having a happy life is being thankful for what it is you've got, and taking a breath is one of the
yeah,
biggest things you can be thankful for.
yeah. I mean,
Right?
that's how I start the day is I pray, get a Bible verse, thank God that I'm still alive and that I can actually see and I can walk down the street. I saw somebody in a wheelchair that was all messed up the other day. I thought, man, somebody, always somebody worse off than me. So yeah, I take for granted things that I should not take for granted. You got a family, for 5 kids. They're all are, none of them are doing drugs, and they all have successful careers and kid. They're I got 6 grandkids, and so yeah, a lot to be thankful for. But yeah,
You know what? I think it's kind of human nature, isn't it? Sometimes you get worried about what's happened in the past and worried about where the future is, but being thankful in the moment
yeah,
is
because because this business thing can stress you out because it's there's so much, and we can talk about that how I deal with stress, the
mhm.
stress of it all, because it can be super stressful, and that's a big problem. I think that especially if you're the owner, you're kind of all alone. It's like,
Yeah,
but anyway,
yeah, exactly right. Well, that'd be some of the meat I'm sure we'll get into. Let's start with your business, Nashville House Painting. Tell us a little
yeah,
bit about Nashville House Painting and yourself. Kick us
yeah,
off.
yeah, yeah. So I've been doing painting for 20 years. I started, just painting apartments. And then about 10 years ago, I decided I was going to seriously try to make it into a business. And I got a website, got, several things built on top of that after that. But yeah, and then wife, and I've got 5 children that have left the house now. So yeah, we're, empty nest now, and grandkids coming. That's really what I want to do is just be a grandpa.
Yeah,
I don't really care that much about doing a business anymore.
yeah,
So,
I hear.
so yeah. But I've got to keep it going. I mean, I can't quit now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're at a good stage though, right? I mean, a
Yeah.
great life, enjoying your grandkids and celebrating your kids and their success, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly. I just got to get this thing scaled up, if whatever, however you want to put it, to where I'm not doing everything, where it doesn't all run through me, which has been kind of the problem, I guess, you know, over the past 5 years. So yeah,
Yeah.
uh, but that's
So, so over the past 5 years, but you've been in business 10,
yeah,
right?
yeah. At first, it was small. I was doing all the painting myself. My sons were working with me, which would have been cool if they'd have stayed working with me, but they saw how difficult it was and they weren't really interested in it. So they all do their own thing. Um, but yeah, so that's how I started. I started just painting apartments. I've never even thought about painting as a career. I didn't even know that was existed, that there were actually painting contractors, that people could make money doing painting. But I started painting apartments for this guy. I was doing a subcontract person through him, and then I did not painting apartments was kind of like the bottom of the barrel painting. It was just in and out, fast, quick, and not very interesting. And then I started, working for other people that painted houses just to learn the trade, learn the craft. It was important to me to know how to do the craft of painting, but I know I hear of people that start painting businesses that don't even know anything about painting, which is kind of interesting to me. I guess they understand business really well. Um, so I just kind of fell into the painting thing. I never really looked for it. And then I started thinking, well, when I found out you could make money at it, then I started doing it. And then, like about 10 years ago, I said, well, I need to try to get serious about this. And I got a website and then started doing that and looking at other things I needed to add. I was running our own crew with my sons, and then I hired another guy that was working for me for about 4 or 5 years. And the evolution kind of has gone from there to now I'm working with, I'm not really doing, it's kind of a hybrid. It's not truly subcontract because I pay the workers' comp and the liability insurance, but I'm paying them by the job. And I found out that that's kind of a little more, the guys that do their own jobs, they have a little more vested into it. They understand, you know, like if you mess up a tool, you got to pay for it. If you're not efficient, you forget to bring stuff to the job, you know, whereas having hourly guys was very difficult, you know. I had an hourly guy and I tried to, motivate him to learn about painting, learn more stuff, and it just wasn't there. Maybe I could have found somebody that would have done that, but it was very difficult. I saw this sign on a truck one time. It was kind of intriguing. It said the name of the company. I don't remember. It was like a freight company. It said employee led, employee owned, which I thought was pretty cool. But so that would be kind of a dream to have, a closer knit company. But I don't think, I'm just going to go with the subcontract model now. More that's for me. I don't have time to try to. I don't know. I just don't really think I want to try to build my own inside crew again. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's practically speaking, it's not for me at this time. I don't think, unless somebody had some other, like I don't know. I just don't. It was too much involved, too much to try to motivate people to learn the things. And there's plenty of guys out there that don't like invoicing. They don't like selling jobs. They don't like trying to book jobs, trying to manage schedules. They just want to go paint, and they are good at painting. And they know how to do it, and that's what they want to do. And they have their own equipment that they deal with. They have their own truck. I don't have to have insurance on trucks. I don't have to have, I don't have to keep buying equipment, wasting money on that. I had this Festool. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's a really nice vacuum sander. Come back one day and it's broke. I mean, they broke part of it. But you just take care of your stuff when it's yours.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But I know there are companies that have their own crew. And anyway, I didn't want to get off into that, but that's kind of.
No, well, interesting because you're given the rationale as to why it is you contract out that. But what's interesting is that you say that you're paying their insurance.
Yeah. So it's not truly subcontract. It's kind of a hybrid. I pay them by the job. I tell them, hey, this is how much it pays. And then sometimes if they run into trouble or run into stuff, I'll take less out of my percentage and pay them more, but I try. There was a business coach I followed for a little while. His name was Eric Barstow,
Mm-hmm.
and he promoted subcontract model. I had never looked at that because, people told me the problems with it. I mean, there are problems. There are pros and cons to both. There, all the pros I just mentioned, but then the cons are, sometimes if you don't have a good one, they're going to just try to get it done as fast as possible, and they're going to cut corners because they got this amount of money that they're looking at, that, hey, the faster I get this done, the more money I'm going to make, which is true. But there's a balance. If they cut the corners and don't do it right the first time, then you got some problems. And I had a problem with one guy that was doing that, and I had to go back and fix all his stuff. We spent this spring, I spent about $3,000, maybe 4,000 would have paid. I had to pay out in labor and everything to go redo a house that this guy had messed up because my name was on it. And, I'm not going to let the customer be on the hook for that. And so we went and redid it, and just stuff that they had left that was not done right. And so that's a problem. So the key to paying by the job is finding good ones, guys that are good, that are conscientious, and they have your best interest, because they know that if they don't do a good job for you, they're going to not have work. I'm not going to give them the work. And I don't have to fire people. I wasn't real good at firing people. Like this guy that worked for me, I promoted him. What's the Peter principle? I promoted him because I knew him, but it was beyond his capacity. I mean, 90% of the time he would do good, but then he would come and complain and always negative. And I didn't realize how bad it was affecting me. And just his negativity. And he would come there sometimes, and he was an alcoholic. But that was one of my downfalls. One of my problems is not being able to fire people, not looking at things objectively. Hey, this guy's ruining your business. You just need to let him go. Don't get attached to him personally. Just let him go and move on. And I should have, I did last year what I should have done. Well, it was a year and a half ago when I fired him. Should have done it, 3 years ago, and I would have been better off, finding somebody else, moving on towards other people. But that was when I was doing the crew, and that's what I decided. Hey, man, this isn't working. Now, maybe that was a bad example. Maybe I was just because I hear there are guys that will work by the hour and they'll do a good job. There's different. I've heard of some pay incentive programs for crews that make it where they get, a pay for performance bonus, on a job. So they're all working together to be more efficient. And if everybody doesn't pull it through at a certain number, then they don't get their bonus. And the bonuses can be quite a bit. But it's based on their performance and how they pull it through. But I don't know how to set up that kind of system. There's this company called Protive. I've talked to them, and they have a system for that. It sounded pretty cool, but that's back towards the crew thing, running the crew. And, that means I got to be in charge of all the equipment. I got to be in charge of the vans. I got to be in charge. And I just don't see the benefit of that. But there are good paint companies that do it. I mean, the pros are you're going to have more control over who's working in the house, who's on the job, where the guys now that I pay by the job, they are in charge of getting the guys. And if they screw up, then it all comes back on you. It's like you're talking about books that I wished I had read. Last year I read what's this guy's name? Extreme Ownership.
Oh yeah, Jocko Willink.
Yeah, I read that. I thought, okay, yeah, that's good. I wish I had read that before, because that was really really good. Yeah, but I guess the book. You had a question about the books. I wish I had read. Some guy told me about it about 15 years ago. I was maybe 10 years, maybe 12 years ago. I can't remember. I was painting a job by myself, and this guy was doing drywall, and he was doing some other kind of repair stuff, handyman kind of guy. And he goes, "Hey, have you ever read the E-Myth?" I said, "What's that about?" And he said, "Well, it's about, how it's entrepreneurship is really not what you think it is unless you can systematize it, get it, didn't, and so I heard that and then heard about it again. And about, maybe last 2 years ago, I read that book, and I wish I had read that sooner.
Mhm.
Tells you a lot of stuff you need to do. Of course, the next step is to get their coaching, and their coaching is like 2,000 a month. So
Mhm.
I couldn't go for that. I just didn't. That's too much. Uh,
Yeah.
to help you with the systems. But they it all has to start with the end goal in mind. And I
Yeah.
guess I don't have the best end goal. Like my goal is just probably not very good, but it's just to have right now I just like to have work every week for I'm trying to run 2 crews. I do have a number, like I'd like to hit $25,000 every month in sales. If I
Mhm.
did that, that would divide it out into having so much a month, and it would be enough for 2 crews to be steady working, and then my
Yeah.
profit would go up to. And when I did the numbers on it, my profit would go up to around over 100,000.
Mhm.
But so all I've really had. I mean, people say, well, you have this painting business. I think we've talked about it before. All I really have is just a high paying, stressful job.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I don't really have a bit, because if I take off, like I've heard it said before, if you take off, if could your business survive without you? If you took a month off, what would happen? Well, it would stop. I mean, because I answer the phones, I do the sales, and it would all end. So,
Mm.
you know, I really don't have a true business, right? I mean,
Mhm.
isn't that isn't that the, I mean, am I right there or not?
Well, I mean, yes, we define a
Yeah.
business as, something that works without you so that you have an asset that you could sell,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
I have no assets. Now I did
Yeah.
buy Bitcoin, so I have that. Um,
Yes.
and I'm glad I did. And
Yeah.
wished I had bought more, but I didn't.
Right.
But anyway, I digress. I had
Well,
another,
the
but yeah, like what I was gonna say, I've had these business people that call me about selling my business. I'm like, dude, I ain't got nothing to sell. I mean, I got a website that gets some traction. I stopped paying for SEO, which was ridiculous. Man, it's just I paid one year. I paid this guy. He was a painter guy. He focused on painting and painters, and I paid him $2,000 a month. I mean, I was getting found, but my website wasn't converting. And anyway, what's the word? The economy of scale, or what you have to pay for SEO, is not worth. Anyway,
yeah.
so I have a website that gets found in Nashville because it's Nashville House Painters.
Mhm.
I have a YouTube channel, which gets some hits on it. Some of it does. I don't know how, I use it as a promotional, like I show jobs that we're doing. Hey, here's some
Mhm.
stuff you can check out. And I think it's helpful. Um, I have a good estimating app, and I'm just now getting a CRM where a guy's getting all my stuff into a CRM with a database of customers that I send a newsletter out to them so I have some stuff that can be built upon, but still I'm running it all. And I don't know, I'll have a conversation with a customer, like we'll set up a job. Some of them can be pretty complex as far as their colors. I mean, you would think it'd be simple painting, but this color here and this color on this accent wall and this garage door opener is over here hidden, and all these things, that I go when I make the estimate that. And so how do I transfer that to somebody else to set that up? Is like, it's, it's mind boggling to me right now.
Yeah.
And then I have to have enough business coming in to support hiring other people. And
Yeah.
so the pressure increases. I mean, at one point I was working where I think I did it a year and a half ago, where I said, okay, I'm going to do all the jobs myself, and I got a guy helping me. And for about 3 months, I did them all myself,
Hmm.
and um, it was very, when I did it that way, it was very less stress.
Hmm.
I was tired when I got home, wasn't sitting in
Hmm.
front of a desk, went to sleep very well. I knew the jobs were going to be handled. I didn't have any question marks in my mind. Okay, what's going to happen here? I'm going to need a call. That's another thing I was experienced about the stress of it all is there's this question mark when can I find a good crew guy that's not going to. I think I've got one now. I've got another one that I'm working with him they're very competent, that don't get those kind of things where I get a call from a customer, hey, they did this and this and this. It's getting less and less. So that
Hmm.
is reducing some of the stress. But when I did it myself, I I realized physically I'm 65 years old. I can't really produce it fast. Like
Yeah.
the one crew I've got, I mean, they're all young guys. I don't have any
Yeah.
women, nothing against women. But man, they can produce it fast. I mean, it was about a 4,000 square foot house in over in Hampton Reserve in Brentwood about 4 weeks ago, and they did all the ceilings, walls, and a bunch of rooms, cabinets, and they knocked it out in 5 days. You know, there's no way I couldn't pull that off. I mean, it was taking me all day just to do a bathroom by myself, and
Yeah.
they can do it in a half a day.
Yeah.
And
Right. You know
uh,
what's interesting, Rick? You said that there's a lot of painters out there who don't like to do the invoicing or the selling. I would imagine these teams that you're contracting with are they? I mean, they're having to market their services, but it seems like they complement them pretty well. Do you want to focus solely on the marketing and sales and the business and just let them do the painting? And then they have, honestly, they have just like you were describing earlier, they have a stake in it because uh,
yeah,
they know that if they don't do it right, they're going to have to come back and do it as opposed to having a direct employee who may not take as much ownership. Sounds like you might have something working there. Uh,
yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I mean, the crew I've got, the one crew I've got, two guys I got two crews. Um, Anytime there's a problem, they go back and fix it. They know that they've got to, you know, the go back is very, very rare.
mhm.
But sometimes there's something going to happen where they have to go back. Not, I mean, it's just that's something you want to avoid having to go back because it's a
Mhm.
hassle for the customer. And if it can get done right the first time, then there's less. You know, the saying, "Never make the customer happy twice." You ever heard that?
Right.
Happy to see you come, happy to see you go. Um, we try to live by that, but yes, so it is working. It's going. My big rock now is just getting jobs, selling
Yeah.
jobs. And
Mhm.
one of your questions was, is it quality driven or price driven?
Yeah. Mhm.
I'd say, how do I say this? Probably 85% of the time it's quality driven.
Mhm.
But they don't know the average person doesn't know what's involved in painting. Oh, it's just painting. Oh, I didn't realize you had to fix all these cracks to make it look good. Yeah, we didn't think about that. We didn't think about this. Okay, so you're going to go for the cheaper guy. Well, is he going to take the time to you know to do it right the first time, so you don't have to come back and redo it?
Mhm.
Are you really going to be satisfied? That's the big thing in residential repaint is is
Right.
is addressing their fear. And hey, like a lot of times I'm the highest one, you know,
Mhm.
and but I've done it on my own. I've done it enough to know what it's going to take, and they'll come back with these ridiculous prices. And sometimes, like I got a customer, there was a customer last year, last year. I went and did an estimate for her, and I didn't know this, but she went with a competitor because they were referred to her by a designer. It was a Hispanic crew, and my guys are Hispanic too, um, but they were referred highly, recommended by her designer, and she, so she went with them, and they were about the same price, maybe a little lower, but she went with them, and then this year I got a call from them. I said, "Yeah, what happened?" She said, "Well, they were terrible. They did all this and this and this, and so I'm going to go with you." And then, so that's happens a lot. That they go for the lower price, and they don't always get. You're gonna if you go for the higher price, your chances of getting the right thing are going to be a lot higher because they're just going to take the time to do it, and they're going to have the money in there to do it if they need to. Something comes up, it's messed up. I don't want to have to charge you more. Hey, you're paying enough for this. No problem. We're going to fix it. Something weird happens, like we had a house one time. We were painting, they were on vacation, right? And the weirdest thing, their toilet upstairs decides to start leaking, you know,
Oh, wow.
just happened to happen while we were there. Nothing we did to cause it. But because we were there and the price was what it was, I had contingencies there. We took the time to shut the plumbing off, go and get another toilet, replace their toilet. We just charged them for the toilet, you know. And what would have happened or what could have happened if we weren't there? Well, any painter might have done this, but we did it at no charge and took care of it. What could have been a disaster, but that didn't really bother me because we had enough money in it to cover that kind of stuff if that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well, and you know what, Rick, it's like you have to make the effort. If you sell on price, you're just going to lose. You
yeah,
have to on quality, and in order to do that, you have to be good at educating clients, educating your customer base on what it is they're buying, you know,
yeah.
and
I probably need to get better at that too. Like we all like, I get undercut by people that don't have workers' comp and liability insurance, and I tell them, well, if you don't care about having that, you may want to go for the small handyman, and we may not be a fit for you. If that's what's important for you,
yeah,
then
exactly,
you
right,
know that
yeah,
not
yeah,
all
yeah,
not so
that might
yeah.
be good for you. Weeding out on the front end, what is it you're looking for? If you're looking to save money, well, I'm here to do a very very good job, uh, and I will point out to you what it is that what a good job entails, and you use that to screen your quotes. I don't know. I don't know if that's an opportunity for you or not, but
Yeah, that's a good way. That point you made about showing the value in what you do, educating them on what's involved. That is a big part of the process, and I need to get better at that. I have a good estimating app that explains each item and what they're going to do. I don't know if that has helped me get some jobs that I normally um, would have lost, but
mm,
you know, yeah, that's a big challenge for me is getting enough leads. But like you said, I'm going to join the BNI group,
mm,
and I'm also actively calling or connecting on LinkedIn with realtors. Going to start doing property managers, just so we can get some steady work. And
yeah,
I'd like to shift over to commercial, but there's just some other things involved there that I need to. Commercial, a lot of times you don't get paid till 30 days later. You know,
hmm,
so
yeah,
you got to have enough bankroll to survive that.
hmm,
But here's the other book. I wish I had read Leadership Not by the Book.
no,
by David Green. He's the guy that started Hobby Lobby.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Leadership, not by the book, huh?
yeah, yeah. It's really good. Uh, I would
That's
recommend.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Where's trying to remember where Hobby Lobby's headquarters are. Do you know? Are they?
So yeah, it's Oklahoma City.
Okay, right. Yeah, right. It seems like I knew.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but it's an amazing story about what he did and how he, you know, like he gives 50% of his profit to ministry and
yeah,
gives it away, you know.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it
Uh,
is.
So, Rick, let me, as we kind of come down the stretch here, you've already shared with us a couple of books. One that you wish you'd read, The E-Myth,
Yeah, E-Myth, and then yeah.
Extreme
There's
Ownership.
there's another one. Let's see. uh I hadn't finished this one yet, but the one thing,
Oh yeah. Hmm?
I think that would help me because I lack focus. I'm all over the place thinking like, the business thing can be uh you can easily be hit with overwhelm,
Yeah.
because there's so many things that you need to have in place that at one time that yeah, and I still, so I've got some back to the thing about owning a business. I mean, I've got some good foundation stuff to build on.
Hmm.
Um, but I think I may have made a bad decision. I was thinking about doing a real estate investing thing. I paid a good money for a course because I thought that might be another way. Something that, like I would go to a lot of estimates. I'd go to some of these nice houses, people that had, they were doing well. And I would ask them, what do you do for work? Well, real estate. I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to get into this. But I don't know if it was a good move to try to start another business because I know the painting thing. Like one of the advantages I have over some of the bigger painting companies that have their hired sales guys is when I go there, I can tell them, I'm the owner. And
Hmm.
so a lot of people like that,
Hmm.
they're actually hearing from the owner of the deal. Of course, if they really knew, it would be to their disadvantage because I can't deal with everything once they become a customer. It makes it harder for me to. But they do have access to my number. I give them my
Hmm.
personal cell number if they want to call me at 10 o'clock at night. They can, all week. But I have made a decision, and I'm going to stick to this, that I'm taking Saturday off. Saturday's going to be my Sabbath day, you know,
Hmm.
and I know that Sunday is the day you go to church, but Saturday's going to be my day. Sunday afternoon, I usually have to work to get ready for the week, like, getting ready with the crew or in paint for Monday, getting them set up,
Yeah.
scheduling stuff. So Sunday's kind of a stress. It starts back but anyway, I'm going to take that off Saturday. And
Hmm.
that's one way I'm going to deal with the stress. But I don't know if we talked about that or if that's one of the questions about how you deal with stress.
How do you deal with stress?
So one of the big things that helps me is uh, so I live by Percy Priest Lake,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
and there's a path down there that somebody made with a what do you call it? Bush hog? Is that the thing? They made a path, and it goes
Hmm.
down to the woods and it goes around the side of the lake. And so I run through the woods for about 25 minutes, and and like this morning I ran to the woods and I carried a camping chair and I sat and watched the sunrise over the lake.
Oh, nice.
And that is it's a great way to start your day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that helps me throughout the week to do that. And just the exercise. I think that's one of the biggest things that's helped me is exercise. You know,
Mm.
just gets my blood flowing and stops the stress. But I think the Saturday thing is going to help me.
Yeah.
Things can wait. I mean, it's going to hurt me, monetarily wise, probably, but I'm just going to
Mhm.
trust in the Lord. I'm going to trust that He'll provide. And,
Mhm.
and I missed that call on Saturday, because a lot of times people are thinking about painting their house and they get up Saturday morning. Okay, I'm not having to work. They'll enter the web form, and in this residential paint thing, he speed to lead is a big deal.
Yeah.
The faster you talk to them, the first impression you make with them, and it increases your chances of getting the deal.
Yeah.
I don't know the percentage, but I imagine it's pretty high. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
Yeah. Yeah. So, Rick, let's see. As we kind of come down a home stretch, you've shared a lot about your business. If there was one thing, if I had a magic wand and I could change anything in your business right now, what would it be?
yeah, it's a real good question. Um, it would be where it was running without me.
Mm.
It was more of a passive kind of thing, or it was running with where I could just work part time, like, you know,
Mm.
20 hours a week if I needed to, where I could put a less amount of time into it and have it still pay me.
Hmm.
I guess that's the way to sum it up. I mean, I could get into the details, would like to not be involved in the sales part of it. I just like to have steady work coming in every week, jobs that are, every week. Cause, I've got a good crew, but how do I say this? It's like everything feeds on itself.
Hmm.
It's like a circle. Like if you have work every week, then you have a good crew that can work with you. And then if they're working every week, they get to be more of a well-oiled machine.
Right.
And so you know how they produce and you know how things work and you get more and more familiar. And so everything just goes. So this whole thing hinges on sales, really. I mean,
Right.
yeah, I do residential repaint, but really all I am is a marketing and sales company that decides to, um, that to keep that coming in,
Hmm.
which is another reason why I'd like to get into commercial. I think that that might be a little more repeat business because, the average residential customer, once they paint with you, I mean, I've got some of them that use me every year. A job will come up or every 2 years. Something that has to be maintained, like a deck. I'll redo for them or something like that. But
Hmm.
the average customer that they're going to paint, it's going to be every 10 years before they you work with you again. So it's not a real good business model, I don't think, residential repaints as far as resell, as far as having a contract where, like let's say you have some kind of facilities manager or some kind of place that's using that paints every year, that would be a better. Hang on a second, let me plug us in. Battery's running low. Uh, did that answer? I don't know. Kind of a.
Yep.
I might
I
give you.
think,
I might give you a
go
lot
ahead.
of editing stuff.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, you really want something that's working a little bit more without you. I think that's really ultimately what you'd like to have, or at a minimum,
Yeah,
maybe part time. Uh,
yeah. Like if I want to, during the week, if I wanted to take my grandson fishing, I could do
yeah.
it without having to worry about it, without having to stress over it. Hey, I'm not calling calls right now. I've got to go. I'm trying to do 10 cold calls every day to realtors or to somebody. I wouldn't have
Mhm.
to do that as much,
Yeah.
if I had somebody doing it. But, to scale it up, to do that, I got to scale it up. And I don't have the skill. There's a lot of skills I don't have, as far as, I don't think I have them that I
Yeah.
would have to develop
Right.
to get better at that. So,
Yeah. So let's finish up with this one. Tell me, Tell me now, and we'll finish off on a high note here. Tell me now what it is you're most proud of in your business.
Most proud of I guess that I've actually done my own thing. It kind of makes you feel good. Hey, I've not had to be employed for 10 years. I made it through a lot of struggles. Had a guy one time on one job, he owed me $14,000, didn't pay me, so I pushed through a lot of that. That really kind of hurt us. So it's shown me that I can that that I can persevere, that I have so I don't know if that's a real good accomplishment or not, but uh yeah, I guess that's and there's houses that I can show you, hey, we've done this house, look how cool this looks, so it's kind of a accomplishment thing, when you do a house and you can show somebody what it looks like, so yeah, making making people happy, I enjoy that, I mean, the best satisfaction I get is, like I had a customer one time, they had a problem with the color we did and in the bathroom. And so I made a decision. I said, well, let's try this. And I did it for it, no charge. And, uh, just because I liked them and they were nice and the profit was okay. I said, yeah, we can do this. And then after it was over, she comes back in there and hugs me. I'm like, wow, I mean, that made a difference to her. It didn't really matter I mean, it's not that big a deal to me, but it's part of my job. But if I can make somebody happy like that, then it's all worth it.
Yeah.
But that's what I miss about not being on the job. When I'm doing it like this, I don't see the results. I just see the daily grind of every, just grinding it out every day. I don't see the finished thing because I'm not always there. People go, well, you need to arrange it where you can be there. I'm like, I do sometimes, but sometimes it's just not practical. Like we have a job we're doing this week in Fairview, and my guys are going to take care of it, but I can't. I'm not available to go see it at the end. Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it might be
Uh,
worth you making the time to do it and celebrate with a happy, satisfied client. Maybe.
yeah, yeah. I know. Maybe and I've had people tell me, well, maybe you should design your business where you can be there, you can do that more and but there's just so many things to do that I can't. It's hard for me to, when I need to be at the desk making calls or going on
Yeah.
estimates, like my primary function is just to try to do estimates. I tell the guys, hey, if I come out here, if I got to, like I used to bring equipment there, they're in charge of all that. uh, they you know do the walkthrough at the end. They know how to do that. Um, I've got a app that I use called Company Cam
Mm.
that um, every contractor should use it. But when I go to do the estimate, I take it. It takes pictures, it takes video, it puts them all in a folder, and I can share that to them where they can be a collaborator, and they see all the instructions. Everything's they'll call me and ask me questions like, well, did you check the company cam? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I put it in there. So, training them to go into the system is kind of difficult, but if they do, everything's there, you know.
Yeah.
And then so if I could get a sales guy to do that, but then I got to have the volume of business and I got to have somebody that's good at, like I don't even have a bookkeeper. I do it all on a spreadsheet right now, you know.
Wow. Mhm.
So that's kind of takes my time. My wife says she could do it, but she didn't really want to. So she answers the phones, But anyway, I know you need to wrap up. I think the question was, I can't remember the question.
Yeah. What are you most proud of?
Yeah, yeah. That I guess the that we have made it on our own for quite a while, and then yeah, and I've been able to pay the bills and make decent money. But that goes back to what I said. It's just a high paying job right now.
Yeah.
So I'm still, to answer that question, there's I'm still not like, you know, I couldn't say that I have a successful painting business right now, you know,
Mhm.
not there yet. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's until I can, I know you're not supposed to compare yourself to other people, but I hear this one business coach that I used to listen to. He has a $10 million painting company, and he is not really involved that much in the day to day of it. Um, how do they do that? To me, that's successful. But maybe I shouldn't. You know, maybe I should not look at that as being successful. Maybe I could just say, hey, you did a paint job and you did a good job with it. Customer satisfied. They give you a referral, give you a Google review. That's successful.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. And I honestly, I think it's a matter of you being aware of what is possible and what's capable. You know,
yeah, yeah,
I don't think there's nothing standing in between you being where you are and where you want to be other than yourself, and somebody to kind of show you the way.
yeah. It's your mindset. Yeah, yeah, right. Saying I can instead of I can't. I can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. But having more than that though, having somebody kind of guide you along, right? So
Yes, yeah, that would be helpful. Yeah. Uh, I've got a sales coach right now. Uh,
mhm.
I've had other coaches before, but probably need to get something like that again in place. Some kind of somebody that I can. The sales coach is just sales. He's online, and then twice a week I can talk to him in a group and tell him, hey, I'm dealing with this. How do you do that? How do you answer this
Yeah.
objection? What's the best way to handle this? He's really good. He's really, really good. He's one of the best I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
But, and it's helping me. It's helping me. I think I've closed some deals because of him, you know,
Mhm.
because of his stuff, but it's $500 a month, kind of high.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, Rick, great having you on as a guest. It's
yeah,
been a ton of fun, and really appreciate you providing some insights into your business and where you're at. And man, I look forward to hooking up with you again here in the near future.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for doing it, and talk later.